What's up, everybody? Welcome to Lakers Legacy. The Lakers defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 110 to 103 tonight, and I am very excited. I have a lot of things to talk about today, some thoughts about the game, but above all else, we finally won again on opening night. It seems like forever since we've been able to win on opening night or win when something is extremely important. Sorry about that. When something like there's an extremely important event, I I'm just glad that we were able to live up to the expectations of LeBron and Bronny playing together, and we were able to not squeak out a win because I feel like we controlled the game for most of the time, but we were able to come out with a well-earned victory and start off 1-0 on this regular season. Now, first thing, let's just get the elephant out of the room, let's talk about the elephant in the room and the shooting from the team. We shot as a team. Let me see. I have the stats pulled up here. 5 for 30 from 3-point range, which equivalates, yeah, is that a word? Which equals 16.7%. Now, this is not a recipe for winning basketball games. I think there's many things that saved us, which I can get into, like our offensive rebounding and our game plan, but I'll talk about those also later on in the episode or in the video. But 16.7% from three. We wanted to shoot more threes. We only shot 30, which, looking at the Celtics game from earlier where they shot near 60, we're not going to be able to keep up with those teams. I think if we get hot, we'll be able to shoot some more threes, and we'll be able to get that number up. But I think it was good that even though we didn't see them falling, we didn't continue to shoot them. So I'm glad that we went just to other options and we weren't just chucking them up for the sake of getting that number to where we think it needs to be. I think we definitely need to address it, and we need to get into that making 13 to 18 three-pointers per game and shooting around 50 of them. But until we can do it consistently, we need to be grinding out games like this in order to keep getting wins. Another stat that I wanted to point out was our offensive rebounds. We actually lost the overall rebounding battle, but we had 15 offensive rebounds. Those were huge. It feels like every time there was a point in the game where we kind of were losing the lead or Minnesota seemed to be capable of going on a run, we would just get an offensive rebound and that kind of killed the momentum, and we were able to score off second chance points. I think that really saved us the game. In the first half, we couldn't really score. That first quarter, we probably had 6 to 10 points off of offensive rebounds and ended the quarter with near 20, only 20 points. So without those, we would have had a terrible quarter. Let's see what else here for the team stats. Free throw percentage, 84%, 21 for 25. Most of that coming from AD, which I'll talk about in a little bit. That is great to see. We're getting the free throw line, and people can't say, oh, it's because they just outshoot or they shoot more free throws than the other team. The Timberwolves actually shot 27. They just converted on less. We had 10 more shots than the Timberwolves, which comes from offensive rebounds and steals. 7 to 4. We won that category. Assists 22 to 17. We won that. Blocks 8 to 1. AD is the defensive player of the year. He should have one at least. Total turnovers, only 7. Now, this is also something that I wanted to point out. We didn't turn the ball over very much. We had a couple plays where D'Lo threw a bad full court pass, Connect threw a bad full court pass, which could have resulted in easy transition buckets. But if we take those two away, which were kind of unforced, we really only had 5, maybe 5 forced turnovers. Now, that is obviously not, we can't keep that very consistent under like 5 or under, but if we can get from that around 10 area on average on the season, that will be perfect. Fast break points, 17 to 7. We won that. We actually lost the points off of turnovers battle. Oh no, points conceded off of turnovers. Timberwolves 19 6, so we won in that category. Fouls were even 22-22. Points in the paint, 72 to 40. Now, obviously, when we have LeBron and AD, that is going to be a main way we score points in the paint. And largest lead was 19 for us. Yeah, we held control the whole time. Now, the shooting will get better. We just need to kind of get our footing a little bit, find out where we're gonna get where different players are gonna get their open looks, so they can work on it more during practice and game speed. But we don't need to worry about that. If we can win these kinds of games even without shooting well, imagine what it would have been like if we shot 30% from three or 35% from three. Dare I say 40% from three. This becomes a 30-point blowout, and we're going to the championship. But yeah, the shooting will come. The team stats looked amazing. We controlled every facet of the game. But yeah, we defended home court. The energy was great in the crowd. I'm super excited from the result today. Now, if we go into individual stats, actually, let me look at my list of notes. AD. You heard him getting MVP chants at the end of the game. He deserves it. He had 36 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 11 for 23 from the field, 13 for 15 from free throw range or from the free throw line. That's MVP. If he does that and we're a good team, he'll get DPOY and MVP in the same season if people actually want to vote for him, which I hope they do. He's going to be our number one option. He has to be the guy we go to down the stretch. He was killing the defensive player of the year from last year. 4-time defensive player of the year. AD was just cooking him. And he can do that on a night in, night out basis. He just needs to stay healthy and continue to flourish under this new offensive system, being the number one option. Underrated. Rui Hachimura got us out to a great start. 18 points, 5 rebounds. Played really well. 7 for 14 from the field. It's all you can ask from Rui. LeBron, not his greatest statistical game. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, only 2 turnovers. 7 for 16 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. He's LeBron. I'm not worried about him. I don't need to say much about him. I think D'Lo and Reeves shot terribly. Yeah, 1 for 7 for D'Lo from 3, 4 for 12 overall. Reeves 0 for 5 from 3, 6 for 14 overall. But they did other things well. D'Lo seemed like he made some clutch baskets in the fourth when the Timberwolves were kind of making their run. He was setting up Jackson Hayes for that lob. He had that kind of floater in the lane. And then Reeves, with his 4 offensive rebounds of his 9 total, kept him impacting the game in that way. Off the bench, we had Jackson Hayes, who I think was great. He provided a spark off the bench. Max Christie, a little bit disappointing. I've been very high on him all last season and all preseason, but he had 5 fouls. He didn't really contribute anything to the game. Connect came in, gave us a 3 and a little layup in a quick 2-minute span. He ended up with 16 minutes, was a +7 on the night. I think he was solid. You could definitely tell there was a little bit of nerves. He had 2 momentum threes. One of them he hit backboard, he almost banked it in, and then the other one was just a little bit off. He'll find his footing, I think, as he gets more minutes and gets into the rotation a little more. This is the amount of minutes we should see of him, around 15 to 17 per night. He'll be fine. Let's see, what do I want to talk about next? Is LeBron actually taking a back seat now? I don't know. He's still going to be like a 1B option, but I think it really is time for him to hand the keys over to AD as far as the offensive end goes. Just letting him take the most shots on the team. AD shot 23. The next highest was LeBron with 16. So I think that's all. That's fine. But LeBron's LeBron. I'm not worried about him. JJ Redick said that he's going to have a 9-man rotation, which he did keep, besides when he put Bronny in, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. He kept a 9-man rotation, and I think it went really well. I don't know if AD playing 38 minutes on a nightly basis is something that is going to be consistent, or LeBron, Rui, all the starters playing near 35. I don't know how I feel about that. I think they should be able to get a little more rest when some of the other guys like Christian Wood and Vando come back, but I think keeping it towards a 9-man rotation maybe stretching it to a 10 or 11 every now and then will be okay for us. As long as we keep getting the wins, I'm fine with whatever he wants to do. LeBron and Bronny make history. That was really great to see when they both went to go check in at the table. You couldn't help but just smile. It's something that I don't know if I'll ever see again in my lifetime, but it's something really special, and we shouldn't take it for granted, no matter how you feel about LeBron or Bronny, or if they should be in this position or not, or if Bronny should even be in the league, or if he just got drafted because of his dad. It's something you have to praise their hard work and give them their flowers when it's due. So that was an amazing thing. I think JJ Redick's really smart at saying he's going to do it in this first game so that it doesn't become a story of reporters just asking him over and over when he's going to get them on the court at the same time. It's done. It's taken over in the first game. It helps that we had had a lead in the first half, good enough to put Bronny in and let him just kind of run free. So I'm happy with that, and I'm just so excited and happy to see a father and son duo, which I don't know if I'll ever see again in my lifetime, like I said. I've already talked about the role players stepping up, offensive rebounding, game plan. That was something that LeBron mentioned in his interview and that we saw during the mic'd up moments in this game where JJ Redick is constantly talking about attention to details and not giving too much away about his game plan in the huddles, obviously, because the players already know it. But LeBron comes in at the end of the game during his interview and says that the reason why they won was because of their game plan. Now, I'm not trying to take shots at Darvin Ham, but when was there a time where players praised the game plan this much and praised the coaching this much this early into the season or after a huge win like this? I believe that we're turning the corner as far as coaching goes. We're going to have great game plans in and out and great adjustments. We saw Anthony Edwards start to heat up in that fourth quarter. He hit a three, and I think he had a drive, and we started blitzing him. But then, being the great player that Anthony Edwards is, we kind of slowed him down long enough we kind of trapped him and slowed him down, not letting him stay in his rhythm, while the other guys kind of scored, and then we went back to not doubling him. We doubled him to get the ball out of his hands, made him a little cold, and then switched back to not doubling. And you could see some of those shots towards the end of the game, he just wasn't in rhythm. And the game plan on our offensive end, getting a lot of movement, a lot of cuts, pushing in transition, I think it was all perfect. So I'm very happy with that, and I'm very excited to actually have real game plans that we can dig into and kind of develop as the season goes on. Now, last thing I wanted to talk about, or a couple more things, is our energy and identity. The energy in the crowd was great, like I said before. The building was rocking. Some of those highlight plays from Jackson Hayes or LeBron, when somehow in year 20 million he's able to dunk like crazy still. But yeah, the energy was great. Our energy, I think, was great. Even though we weren't hitting shots, we were getting back on defense for the most part. And we were just moving the ball well. That also comes with a new identity, which is one of the things I said in the preseason, is I'm hoping to see if we develop an identity going into this season and going in the first couple games. It'll really show if the coaching staff and if the leaders on the team are really trying to turn the corner from the past couple years where we didn't really have an identity as a team besides getting to the free throw line and scoring in the paint. But now we kind of have more ball movement. We're getting tons of screens, off-ball cuts, and we're just looking more like a team, which is not really an identity, but I'm just saying I'm glad to see it that we're kind of stepping it up as a team and forming our own, like, not a game plan, or I've said identity too much, but we're forming, I don't know what I'm going to say. Yeah, we're forming our own identity, and it's just great to see. We're becoming our own independent basketball team. We're not trying to emulate anyone else. We're just playing how we want to play, and we're dictating the pace and the tempo and what we want to do on the defensive end and the offensive end. It's just a thing that great teams do. They play to their own strengths and make other teams adapt to them, which I think we're doing really well. little fun moment in the game. Towards the end, I was saying it the whole game. AD wanted to guard Anthony Edwards. On soft screens, he was telling the guys to switch. On one of the plays, he told Reeves to switch, and then he kind of poked it away. They called a kickball, and then he went down and did the strap up celebration towards our bench. I just thought that was kind of a fun thing. There's a lot of competitive juices flying because of all the Team USA stuff and Anthony Edwards talking. So I'm just glad to see that we stepped up to the challenge and we didn't let that kind of talking throw us off our game plan. Last thing I'm going to leave with today from the game is that I think continuity is going to play a big role in our season. We saw with the Timberwolves, they were kind of getting used to having DiVincenzo and Randall on the team, and at sometimes you could see they weren't in sync and on the same page. But with our roster, we pretty much have the same roster from last year, and I think that having that development last year and over the offseason, a full offseason with the same squad, I think that goes a long way, and we seem to be clicking faster than some of those teams that made moves, which gives me hope that we will be able to start on a good note just because of how many teams made moves and are going to be trying to gel. We're kind of in the same boat. I know we're not as good right now as the Celtics, but they just brought back the whole team, and you could see it from today. They killed the Knicks, and I hate seeing the Celtics win. At halftime, they were screaming Lakers suck because they're in Boston. The TNT guys are in Boston. But you have to admit that their continuity is what makes them such a dangerous team. And their continuation from last year's roster to this year is what makes them the favorites to repeat. But I think that's also what can make us so good towards the beginning of the season especially. We're going to see it really on Friday against the Suns, which I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping we can start 2-0, stay undefeated at home before we go on the road, I believe. I'm not sure who we play after that. Let me check. Oh, wait, I just saw it right there. It is, so we play the Suns at home, and then we play the Kings at home also, actually. So hopefully we can stay undefeated before we head on the road. But I think our continuity and our having relatively the same roster from last year, the same main guys, is going to be huge, especially towards the beginning of the season when other teams are trying to just figure out their footing and figure out who they are and what their role is with their new players. Yep. Going forward, what you can expect from this is these nightly recaps after each game that I'm able to watch. Hopefully I'm able to watch most of them. If not, I'll watch it on my own time and then give you the same kind of recap. Quick 15 to 25 minutes, nothing too much, but just giving my insight to the game and what I think we could do better going forward. But yeah, I'm happy we started off with a win. Lakers basketball is back, and I'll see you tomorrow with any news or updates.